Hello and welcome to our podcast with composer Jocelyn Pook. She's perhaps best known for writing the score to Stanley Kubrick's 1999 film Eyes Wide Shut, but she's worked on a wide variety of projects for theatre, opera and the concert hall, alongside her performances with the Jocelyn Pook Ensemble. Most recently, Jocelyn's collaborated with choreographer Akram Khan on his critically acclaimed dance production Desh. The soundtrack's being released on the 3rd of December, which is the same day as the British Composer Awards, which she's nominated for in the Stage Works category. And the same day, her new song cycle, Hearing Voices, is being premiered by the BBC Concert Orchestra at the Queen Elizabeth Hall in London, under the title Hysteria. So, Jocelyn, it's a busy time for you. Have you had a chance to catch your breath yet?
Not really. I'm still putting the finishing touches for the Hearing Voices piece at the moment, but it's been very enjoyable and exciting, but challenging.
Hearing Voices is your new song cycle. Tell us a little bit about the work and how it came together.
Well, it's a dramatised song cycle for voice, orchestra and recorded voices, and it's going to be sung by Melanie Pappenheim, who's a singer that I've worked with for many, many years. The piece is about mental illness, but it started off being about my great-aunt Phyllis, who had a breakdown in her middle age in the 30s and ended up being in an asylum for 25 years until she died. And while she was there, and before that actually, she wrote copiously about her experiences, and the writings are quite powerful and extraordinary. She was quite a gifted writer, I suppose, and they're very poetic and whimsical and funny and, and sad. So I had this body of work to draw on, really, and that was my starting point. And then I kind of got interested in also recording other testimonies from people like Bobby Baker, who is somebody I've worked with and who had kind of done work about her mental illness, and my mother, who had a breakdown in the 50s and also wrote about it. I interviewed some other people, including Julie McNamara, and the piece became about 5 different women across 5 different generations.
And given that this is obviously a family sort of orientated piece for you, mentioning there your great aunt and your mother, did that make the work more challenging?
I don't know that it did. I was very familiar with the subject, and my mother has always been very kind of open and matter-of-fact about her breakdown and the subject in general. I think she was very frustrated with the fact it was such a taboo in her day and has been such a stigma for people in general. So I guess, it's something that I grew up knowing a lot about.
And did you do a lot of research for this project?
Yeah, I guess, again, my life has been research. I know I've got a lot of family, friends who've had experience with mental illness. So in that sense, my experience has been researched. But I did do a lot of reading recently, and that's why I also wanted to interview people and get personal testimonies from people who've kind of had experiences more recently themselves. I also came across the book Agnes's Jacket by Gail Hornstein, which I was just enthralled with. It's an extraordinary book.
What would you say then was your biggest challenge with this project?
Well, actually, the biggest challenge for me was writing a piece which involves the symphony orchestra, because I haven't had a lot of experience of that. Writing about and doing work around mental health issues and mental illness, is comes second nature. But actually writing for a symphony orchestra was extremely challenging, but exciting, and I just absolutely can't wait to hear it.
You have written for the screen quite a lot, of course. Is it nice to keep the projects varied, writing for Akram Khan's dance production Desh and also the concert hall in Hearing Voices?
Yeah, it is. It's lovely having a variety of different projects, but also with a project like this, Hearing Voices, I'm in the driver's seat. It's my own project in a way that I'm not in a collaborative project, say with Akram, or a film project where the director is essentially the creative vision that one is servicing. But in this, it's me that's kind of calling the shots, I suppose, but also it's a lot more responsibility and it's a lot more hard work, but it's very rewarding in that sense, yeah.
So what would you say is the most enjoyable part of this composing process? Is it when you hear the work first performed, or is that perhaps the most nerve-wracking bit?
Well, it's a bit of both. It's a real thrill when you hear your piece come to life. There's nothing like it. It's just extraordinary. When one's kind of hearing these depressing synth sounds all the time, and then it comes to life properly. It's very exciting.
And of course, as we mentioned earlier, Hearing Voices will be premiered on December the 3rd at the Queen Elizabeth Hall. And also that day, we'll be able to get our hands on your latest CD, Desh. Now, this is released on your own label, Pook Music, and it's the soundtrack to Akram Khan's dance production of the same name. So, Jocelyn, what was it like teaming up with Akram for the project?
Oh, it was hugely enjoyable. He was just lovely to work with. And the first thing that we did for this project was he took the creative team to Bangladesh, and that's where we started. And it was just the most amazing trip.
Were you really able to immerse yourself in the culture while you were there? Did Akram show you the sights?
Yeah, I mean, we started off in Dhaka, the capital, and stayed there for quite a while, but kind of walking off the beaten path, visiting places like shipyards and the slum areas and all sorts of places.
Was there any one moment that particularly stood out to you while you were there?
I started getting obsessed with collecting songs from people I came across, children mainly and adults as well, and people I encountered. And those were some of my highlights, actually. I was taking sort of field recordings as I was walking the streets, and I was collecting songs all the time, and yeah, those were my highlights probably.
And of course you have another production coming up with Akram. Have you had a chance to start work on Itmoy, and can you tell us any more about it?
I haven't quite started that yet. There's sort of ink still drying on my last project. We are actually starting in a week. I'm going to be joining him in Grenoble where he's rehearsing, and we are going to be starting proper work on that. We've just had talks so far, but it's kind of partly about Stravinsky, and it's celebrating the centenary of the Rite of Spring.
Aside from Desh and aside from Hearing Voices, you of course have the British Composer Awards that same night. Are you nervous? Are you pleased to be recognised, perhaps?
Well, of course, I'm honoured. It's lovely to be recognised for your work, and of course it's a lovely thing. I've got stiff competition, but it's just nice to be nominated.
Well, Jocelyn, we wish you luck, and thank you ever so much. We hope that Hearing Voices is a success.
Thank you.